Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another Sunday edition of Jake's Hot Takes. I am your host, as always, Jake McVey, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Matthew Galgano. Matt, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing great today. Just fantastic. The draft was last night. The Knicks won last night.
Yeah.
Life couldn't possibly be better.
It is an absolutely great time to be a fan of sports, to be a fan of the Knicks, to be a fan of this show, quite frankly. You got a lot to be excited about. So let's just jump right into it and talk about the Knicks, Matt. The Knicks overcame the Detroit Pistons in Detroit with a final score of 118 to 116. What did you think was the biggest contributing factor to their win?
I think the biggest contributing factor is the fact that we're seeing all five of our starting five players have good involvement, and four of them scored over 20 points. I mean, McCall got involved. He scored 20 points. OG Anunoby had 22. Carl had 31. And Jalen Brunson had 30. So across the board, except for Josh Hart, who still had a good game.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't diss Josh Hart now.
I think our starting five getting as big of a share of the production is great, and it makes us really hard to stop.
Exactly, yeah. I've been saying this for the longest time. We do have the strongest starting five when it comes to pure offense. I don't think there's any team in the NBA that has a better starting five than us with this team right now. So just to get to see, like, especially McCall Bridges and OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby, who both struggled like pretty mightily in game two. Like those guys were looking pretty rough after game two. So just to see Karl Anthony Towns getting more involved in the offense and OG getting more involved in the offense and Josh Hart having a phenomenal gadget game, I mean, it was good stuff. Going into the individual performances, Karl Anthony Towns finishes the night 31 points, 10 for 18 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 8 rebounds and an assist to boot. I think I love the energy that Cat brought. When that guy Reed started pressing Mitchell Robinson and he got right up in there, first of all, why is Detroit acting like they're so tough right now? Like, I get it, you're playing in a playoff game in front of the home crowd, you know, but let's temper our expectations here. I mean, this guy Reed, I don't even know his first name, something Reed, got pushed around by Karl Anthony Towns. It's like, if you're getting pushed around by Karl Anthony Towns, you should probably stop what you're doing and just get back to playing some basketball. But I loved that Towns was showing some of that aggression, you know, some of that angst, some of that hate that you got to feel during playoff basketball. So, and he had a big performance too. He had a great three-point shooting performance. I thought his three-point shooting had been sorely missed throughout the beginning of this series. So I'm glad to see him really come out swinging and have a high-volume night and also have a very successful night.
I mean, McCall Bridges has to get his flowers. 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Great defensive performance from him. And honestly, it's something that the Knicks have been lacking this entire series.
I'll tell you what, Cade had no idea what to make of this man, McCall Bridges. He was having a night defensively. And it made me so happy to see, because this is the McCall Bridges that Knicks fans have wanted for the entire season, you know? The version that played last night against the Pistons. Well, it won't be last night when this airs, but a couple nights ago against the Pistons.
The version that McCall has been before this is the prisoner, and now he's the warden.
Yeah.
He's become
That's
the
what
warden,
we like.
And that type of production needs to continue throughout the series.
Absolutely, yeah. And honestly, I'll give a shout out to pretty much everyone on the starting five.
Yeah.
Brunson and Towns to a lesser extent, but Anunoby, Bridges, and Hart particularly, they all had phenomenal defensive games. I thought the perimeter defense looked great. I thought that the interior defense looked great. I thought that Hart was making some really scrappy plays. Of course, whoever Bridges was against was on clamps the entire night. It just was a great defensive performance. OG Anunoby had a big night too, 2 steals and a block out of him. Speaking of OG, finishes the night with 22 points, 7 of 17 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, and 2 rebounds and 0 assists to boot. Not the most statistically inflated game we've seen out of Anunoby, but the scoring was definitely there. So I'm not gonna, point fingers and be like, oh, Anunoby should have had more rebounds or he should have had more assists. It's like, he went out there, he played defense, he did pretty much exactly what the team needed him to do, and on 43 minutes, that couldn't have been easy. So
it is very exciting to see what he's able to do, and they play again on Sunday in Game 4 back in Detroit. And that's a game to be very excited for. How many games do you think this series is going to go to? Because all of the games have been close.
Yeah, it's been a tussle with the muscle every single game of this series. this is by far, I think, the most exciting playoff series in terms of the ones that are going on right now.
I would argue Lakers Timberwolves is more exciting.
Oh, I don't know, man. This one has a lot of the hate that you need to make a good basketball series. I could see these two teams being a rivalry for the next couple of years. Kind of like how you see like with the Knicks and the Hawks or the Knicks and the Pacers. Pretty much anyone that's beat them in the playoffs recently becomes their rivals. But I would say this series is probably going to go to 6 games. I think Knicks are going to close it out. I think Knicks are going to close it out in 6. Because this Detroit team, they're definitely here to play. And they're definitely playing some of the best basketball we've seen out of this team in a long time. But I respect the Pistons, and I think they are going to pull one more on us. But I don't think that they're going to be able to close out the series. I think the Knicks have, especially last night, carrying that momentum. They just look so dominant. So
I will say that
games.
While the interior defense was better in this game, the perimeter defense still leaves a lot to be desired on the Knicks end.
Yeah, but I mean, Detroit didn't really have an incredible shooting night. So aside from Tim Hardaway Jr., and Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder at the beginning. Yeah, but Dennis Schroeder fell off after the first half. I think he only ended up hitting one more 3-point shot after the first half. He went 3 for 4 in the first half, and then he ends up going 4 for 6 on the night. So, even though he got to that early start, and man, Schroeder, what a smarmy dude. He's so smug. I hate the look on his face. So to see him cool off in the second half, and to see the way that the Knicks responded, I honestly think they did a really good job of doing switch offs. I think particularly with Towns and Brunson, they always did look a little lazy on defensive responsibility switches. But I think Brunson and Towns showed about what we needed them to do in order to play some good defense. And the perimeter defense definitely didn't look great, but the result ultimately was that Detroit scored less points. So and a lot of guys for Detroit had really, really inefficient nights. I mean, Tobias Harris went 2 for 9. Malik Beasley went 4 for 14. Like, we were there. I'm not going to say that it's like a huge, massive concern for me right now. Speaking of, let's just real quick do a review of some of the Pistons players and how they did. Cade Cunningham, 24 points, 10 of 25 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. He gets the double-double, but Cade did not look like himself the other night.
He could have definitely played better. Left a lot to be desired on the table.
Absolutely. I think even in the way, like, I know he finished the night with the most assists, I think, in the entire game. He finishes the night with the most assists in the game. But still, it feels like this offense isn't able to get its feet under itself sometimes. And I think that might just come down to the playoff environment, and I think it might come down to Cade playing a little too much hero ball.
It feels like in each game that has happened so far, the Pistons have looked good coming up, and then they just have a pretty bad collapse in each game. Even in the game they won, they had to avoid a Knicks comeback. So I think the lack of experience in the playoffs on this Pistons team is really showing right now, and especially in the coaching department. But regardless of that, I think the Knicks are in good shape, and they should be looking to clean this series up.
No, I completely agree. And I mean, you look at like the team stats, and it is kind of a little bit jarring that the Knicks actually did manage to win this game. They had shot a significantly worse 3-point percentage, and they actually ended up finishing the night with less rebounds. But you know what? The Pistons gave themselves more opportunities for offensive rebounds because they were missing more shots. I mean, the stats don't lie here. I mean, the Knicks shot much better from the field, and they had a more efficient night. And even though they didn't do as good at shooting from 3, they definitely were making their presence felt in the paint and in the mid-range. So all in all, I would say that this is a pretty oppressive win out of the Knicks.
I mean, for the Pistons, on the Pistons side, they had both Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley both put up an egg in this game, even though Malik Beasley had 12 points on 23 minutes. That's not that great. So I think that is just their biggest thing, and the Knicks had a really great defensive night is really what it is, what it boils down to. They were physical. They were getting a bunch of steals. Both Anunoby and McCall Bridges and Josh Hart had steals in this game. So it's a great sign going forward. Yeah,
and going back to Anunoby real quick, he did a phenomenal job guarding Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is one of those guys where you leave him unchecked and he can all of a sudden, he's kind of like their OG in a way where he can set the pace and he can, keep an offense on its feet in those moments. But I think OG did a phenomenal job of keeping his body close to Tobias Harris, not letting him get to the spots that he knows Harris feels comfortable shooting from, using his body for leverage and just generally being a pest. That's the thing that I love about this defense. We have so many pests. Guys that you see them come out on the court and you're like, I got to deal with this guy. And no better example, he didn't have a phenomenal performance the other night, but Deuce McBride, you really could feel his defensive impact. He was constantly putting hands up in guys' faces, getting real close to guys, using his hips to gain some of that leverage and some of that momentum. He was looking for sneaky steals all game. That's the kind of intensity that you bring that earns you playoff minutes.
Exactly.
So even though Deuce didn't really perform statistically, I mean, he went 1 for 4, 1 for 2 from 3, finished the night with 3 points. It was the only shot he made. Even though statistically he didn't have a phenomenal night, he still brought value to the team in his ability to pester these Pistons players into making precariously placed passes.
I mean, when the starting five is this hot, there's really no point in taking them out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And Mitchell Robinson definitely, I think, also earned his spot. He got a crazy steal on Cade Cunningham I think it was early into the second period. I was like, wow, way to settle your hips and just reach right in there, Mitchell Robinson. Not the type of athletic play, especially snatching from a guy with handles like Cade Cunningham. So, Mitchell Robinson impacted the game in quite a few ways other than just, his offensive production. Because, again, he didn't have a great offensive night either. Just 2 points, 1 of 3 from the field, 0 3-pointers attempted. And he didn't even really have that many rebounds either. But he still brought that defensive presence, and he still brought that physical presence, Jalen Duren was definitely looking a little uncomfortable having to get down in the paint and actually guard Mitchell Robinson. And sometimes just getting a guy out of, in an uncomfortable space like that can be enough to, spur these moments that the Knicks need to capitalize on. I think they did a really good job of capitalizing on the opportunities that their team brought them,
100%. I really do believe that. It was a great, probably maybe the best game of the series for the Knicks, top to bottom, really what it is.
Yeah, I would say this, assuming that, considering the stakes, you got hostile territory, a playoff game. Everyone in the stands are chanting their words at Brunson, and they came out and performed. So realistically, I think with this core, it might be one of the best wins we've seen out of them all season.
What matchup do you think is the most important for the rest of the series?
Oh, I think that's easy. I think Mikal Bridges and Cade Cunningham is going to dictate this series. I think those two guys are so tenacious and so physical in the way that they play basketball. It is kind of incredible to see like the battle of wills that's kind of going on between those two guys right now. I think that in all of the games where Detroit has had really great offensive production, which they have had great offensive production throughout this entire series, but I think Cade has been the main driving force behind all of that. He's been facilitating the offense. He's also been the primary scoring option. And I think in game 1 and especially game 2 of the series, Bridges did not do his due diligence in guarding Cade, and he let Cade go a little unchecked. So I'm hoping that with this game, we all are on the same page about what needs to be done about Cade, and Bridges can keep that moving forward real quick. And what would your key matchup be?
I think it's just the Knicks perimeter defense shutting down Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dennis Schroeder when it comes to 3 points. That's really what it is. It's the only reason that the Pistons were even in the game, because Tobias Harris was throwing up bricks.
He was throwing up bricks. So. Yeah, definitely going to be important to keep an eye on those sharpshooters. Dennis Schroeder in particular, man, that man is electric. He gets the energy going. But anyway, when we get back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this series, and then we're going to be talking a little more about the other playoff series. So make sure you stay tuned for that, only on Jake's Hot Takes, only on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutoSpa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutoSpa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to RomaDeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, scrubbing, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're at 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing a stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Hello, Knicks fans. Hello, sports fans. Hello, Jake's Hot Takes fans. We're back. And like we said in previous, the Knicks have come away with Game 3 of their series against the Detroit Pistons. They went into the Little Caesars Arena, dumb name for an arena, by the way, and took the Game 3 W, 118 to 116. We just got done talking about some of that. Now, I don't like to be a pessimist, but I do like to be a realist. And this series is far from won. Even though we're leading right now 2-1, this series is far from done. And there are a few little linchpins that I could realistically see kind of crumbling the team. And one of those linchpins that I really see is a lot of this series does hinge on Mikal Bridges. I know that we just talked about him at the end of the previous segment, but I kind of want to go in depth into what Mikal is actually doing, specifically in Game 3, what he actually did for the Knicks in a practical sense. Now, the Pistons offense wants Cade as their primary ball handler, their primary facilitator, and their primary scorer. There's no question as to why. He is by far the most talented player on that team. And removing him from that, it completely disables some of the other players on this squad and their ability to be productive. Guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., guys like Malik Beasley, guys like Dennis Schroeder. Those guys are not going to be able to produce at the rate that they've been producing at if Mikal Bridges continues to put Cade on an island and force him to either make an easy pass or go and try and dribble past him and make a move or get an open look. Basically, Mikal Bridges stands as a challenge to Cade to... His goal is to not only prevent Cade from scoring, but prevent Cade from facilitating. And I think he's been doing that at a very high level and with a very high capacity. I think Cade is one of the most impressive rising stars of the entire league right now. And the fact that Bridges, after taking so much crud from the fans and from the oppositions and from everyone this entire season, the fact that he is still out here playing such good defense, it is something that is really important to this team, and it's something that I really don't want to go overlooked,
Yeah, it definitely can't be overlooked, and especially after the performance that Bridges put up in this game. He looked like the player that the Knicks traded for in the offseason, that really, they traded for him for moments like this in the playoffs, not really the regular season. So that's what we want to see. I think the biggest thing that the Pistons have is their three-point shooting. Tim Hardaway Jr. is great at three-point shooting. Dennis Schroeder is good at three-point shooting. And they have a bunch of other guys that are also sneaky good at it, like Jalen Duren or Tobias Harris. And I think the weakest part of the entire Knicks is their perimeter defense. And that's what's struggling to see. I'd love to see Josh Hart take a step up there. I'd love to see McCall Bridges take a step up there. And I think that is the biggest worry, besides Cade Cunningham for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and I would even say that I would love to see a guy like Cameron Payne step up as perimeter defense. Cam Payne is a guy who, because, I'm willing to excuse some of the lacking perimeter defense on just some of the physicals that our guys have. Karl Anthony Towns, love him to death. He is not exactly built for open space defense. He's a lot better in those tighter corridors that kind of open up those lanes near the net. He is much better at playing defense in there. I'm not surprised when I see Karl Anthony Towns get burnt on the perimeter. But a guy like Cameron Payne, he has the exact kind of build that we need. He's a little on the smaller side. He's a little lower to the ground. He's got, a good sense of space and a good sense of balance. And a lot of the things that go into making a good offensive player also go into making a good defensive player. And I would say that Cameron Payne is a decent offensive player. And I know that those skills aren't a one-to-one translation, but he also does have the game sense to be an intelligent defender. And I saw that out of him while he was on the court. Cam Payne's not usually the kind of guy that you expect to play defense, but in his 9 minutes that he got in Game 3, he actually had some good plays, and he recorded a steal. So clearly, he's capable of being a solid defender. So I just think that he's one of the guys that I would really like to see step up in terms of the perimeter defense. Because you're right, it is going to be a problem for us for the rest of the series, and it will be a problem for us against teams like Cleveland or Boston or whoever else we end up facing in this postseason. But I mean, that's just where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Regardless, I do think the Knicks are good, but I think there is a lot to be worried about.
Yeah, I would say, there is definitely a lot to be worried about. And that's what I'm saying. The series is not guaranteed. So we're just going to have to stay calm. We'll call up Tom Thibodeau and we'll tell him everything we just said now, and hopefully he'll go and make the adjustments.
There are other series, though, that are kind of wrapping up, it seems, right now.
Yeah, one of them is definitely the Grizzlies and the Thunder.
The Grizzlies were leading by almost 30 points at one point in the game, and then Ja Morant went out with an injury, and they came back.
Oh my God.
So that's looking to be a sweep. It will be a sweep.
It will be a sweep. It will be.
The Thunder look great. They're the title favorite for a reason. No one really expected them to lose this series.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected them to lose this series. Just I didn't get to watch the entirety of this game. I stopped watching before Ja got hurt. But man, what a monster game out of this starting five. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 31 points on the night, J-Dub with 26, Chet with 24, and then Hartenstein and Lou Dort were kind of just out there. But with a roster like this, who cares? Caruso got 10, Isaiah Joe got 10. I mean, Memphis just is completely in shambles right now, especially with Ja leaving the game. Ja had 15 points before he got hurt, and it was not a bad night efficiency-wise from him. I wouldn't have been surprised if he got up into that high 20s range, but even then, I don't even think it would have mattered for this Thunder team.
Another team that I think is on sweep watch, and this might age poorly because the game is actually today and it hasn't happened yet, and this is pre-recorded, but I think the Bucks are definitely on sweep watch.
Oh.
100%. I think the Bucks mismatch. The Pacers have a mismatch on the Bucks in so many ways.
Oh my goodness.
Brook Lopez has just looked lost in this series.
Yeah, he has not looked good.
And Dame just has not been. You're at the point where you're playing Dame 30 minutes in the first game that he's back from a blood clot.
Yeah. It
just doesn't look good, and it's pretty sad considering this might be Giannis's last series in a Bucks uniform.
Yeah.
We'll see though.
But you know what? If there is one man to save the Bucks from getting swept, it is Giannis. Don't get me wrong, it is Giannis. But it's also Bobby Portis. Bobby came out swinging in this game too from this series. Came out swinging with 28 points, 11 for 19 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3. And man, he felt infallible for a little while. I know he cooled off towards the end of the game, doing a little bit of shot chucking here and there. But man, early when the Bucks were keeping it close with the Pacers, they needed Bobby. They got Bobby. Bobby came out swinging. And I feel bad for Giannis, and I feel bad for Bobby, and I feel bad for Dame because this team really just isn't put together to win a championship. You can just kind of tell. It's kind of in their blood. Yeah. That being said, though, this Pacers team is looking scary once again. Pascal Siakam with a monstrous 24 points on 8 of 16 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, not to mention the 11 rebounds. So Siakam was doing his thing. He's the kind of guy that is great in some of the dirty work, but he can also go out there and get you a bucket. And those are some of the most dangerous guys. Miles Turner came out with an efficient night, but ultimately kind of a quiet one. Andrew Nembhard is the other guy that I want to mention. Wow, what a playoff riser. This guy was not moving like this during the regular season. So I'd say very impressive series out of him so far, even if this game 2 has been his least impressive performance yet.
One of the more intriguing series, though, I think Nuggets-Clippers has been very intriguing. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Clippers will hang on and keep this?
Here's the thing. The Clippers have a lot of talent, and they also have a lot of experience. Guys like Kawhi Leonard and guys like James Harden, they know what it's like to play in these huge moments, So I would say that guys like, and I'll say the difference between a guy like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard versus Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray is that Murray has never been the forefront of the pressure to perform in a postseason. At the end of the day, it's always going to be on Jokic as the star player of the team. And Harden and Kawhi both have experience individually being that star player with those incredibly high expectations. So I would say that their experience in this case would give them the upper hand. Not to mention they do lead the series 2-1, but there's just something about this Nuggets team, man. I feel like Jokic isn't going out sad this season. And if he does, Jokic MVP truthers, we might have to sit down for a little while.
I think the Nuggets are cooked, personally. I think the coaching difference is really being seen. We have an interim head coach for the Nuggets right now.
Yeah.
We have Lou Dort. Tyronn Lue is the
we were
coach
talking
of the
about Lou
Clippers.
Dort earlier.
And that he was the coach when the Cavs won the 2016 chip. So
yeah, I mean,
a lot more experience than this Nuggets team. Obviously, you have Jokic, the best player in the world, but I just think this Clippers team is just better. Playing forward, they have Zubac, who's one of the best centers in the NBA. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, both healthy.
Yeah.
So we're going to see where this goes.
Too.
I think
the
Clippers will win this in 6.
I think if the Clippers end up winning, it'll be 6. I think if the Nuggets end up pulling away, it'll be in 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean this Clippers team, they're deep. They're a deep team. I mean, you look at their depth chart. They had like 9 guys coming off the bench all see the court. They're not running like that 4 deep. They're getting everybody involved in the rotation. So sometimes that can be the difference, especially you look at the Nuggets. They still had a lot of guys coming off the bench, but not nearly as many. So I think just the combination of coaching, the combination of experience, the combination of star power, I think I am going to have to go Clippers in 6. I think, unfortunately, the Nuggets season is probably cooked. We got about less than a minute here. Any last series you want to talk about before we go to break?
Not really. I think the Lakers will beat the Timberwolves. I think the Rockets will beat the Warriors.
Yes.
Especially now that Jimmy Butler's injury is looming.
Yeah, that was pretty rough for the Warriors. Definitely not a fun situation.
And Cavs are going to sweep the Heat. Celtics are going to sweep the Magic.
Yeah,
no real surprise.
I think that's about I think it's going to be in 5 for the Cavs, but other than that, I completely agree with you. So anyway, we are now going to be talking about some NFL draft stuff, so make sure you stay tuned. The NFL draft just happened the other night, and there's a lot to talk about, so make sure you stay tuned right here, only on Jake's Hot Takes, only on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to WaynesWayCabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostic. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutospa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutospa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to RomaDeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're at 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing a stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Welcome back, NFL Draft fans. I know we're all very excited. The NFL Draft just went down, and I kind of wanted to talk about our kind of first impressions of the draft. So, as we know, Cam Ward went first overall to the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars decide, hey, let's trade up and sell a huge piece of our future and go secure Travis Hunter. Giants took Abdul Carter, Patriots took Will Campbell, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Matt, what is your biggest takeaway from the first round of the NFL Draft?
There's a lot to talk about. Biggest takeaway, though, I think the Jaguars are big winners for trading up for Travis Hunter.
Really?
I think it's great. He's a one-of-a-kind, once-in-a-lifetime prospect. Not saying that he's going to have the most important impact on the team, but just having the duo Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter in the receiving, and then they're going to let him get some snaps on defense too. I think that's great. I think it's a great value, and I think that this is going to be viewed as a Will Anderson type of situation from a couple of years ago, from when the Texans took C.J. Stroud and then traded back up to third overall to take Will Anderson. And in the moment, people are like, that's a crazy amount of assets to give up for an unproven rookie. But at the end of the day, no one even talks about that trade anymore because it worked out.
Yeah, it did work out.
No one even cares about what the Texans had to give up because Will Anderson was the prospect that he was turned out to be. And I think that Travis Hunter will turn out to be the prospect that he's made to be.
Do you think that he's physically capable enough to actually play both sides of the ball in an NFL game speed?
No, I don't think 100%. I think that he will be a receiver for first and foremost, and they're going to put him in some snaps at defense. I don't think that his body can just physically keep up like that.
Well, yeah, I would say even like if he played a quarter of the offensive snaps and a quarter of the defensive snaps,
Yeah.
Like even I think on a very fundamental level, I know that Hunter is very adamant that he wants to maintain his dual both sides play style.
Yeah.
But I just don't even know if that'll be physically possible for him. I mean, it's incredibly intense on the body and it's incredibly intense on the mind.
Who knows? I mean, something to pay attention to, though, is that Jacksonville, their new general manager, this is the first move he's made, and he's from the Les Snead tree, which is the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams, and his mentality forever was get rid of those picks. We want to be good now. And this guy's first move as general manager is to get rid of a pick and trade up for a real generational prospect. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I suppose it's worked out for a lot of teams previously. Now, I know there's no visual to go along with this podcast, but there is an elephant in the room right now. There's a pretty big one, and I think it's about time you and me address it, Matt.
Okay.
Jackson Dart to the New York Giants.
The thing is, I don't hate the Giants drafting Jackson Dart. I just don't understand trading up for him. I really don't. I think he would have been there in the second round if they really wanted to take him.
See, here's the thing. You keep saying that, but I am not 100% sure that actually is the case. I think the possibility that we saw a very sneaky team select a quarterback in the first round, I think Detroit was a sneaky pick to possibly go up and select Jackson Dart.
The amount of injuries they have on defense, they needed to beef up that defense. I don't think they would have took Dart.
Sure, but Detroit is in a position right now where they have a stable enough team where they can take a swing on a guy. Think like the Packers a couple of years ago when before Rodgers left and they drafted Jordan Love. Mm-hmm. It's like, sure, they could have used that draft pick on a weapon for Rodgers or a piece to beef up their defense, but ultimately, they planned for the future because they saw the writing on the walls that Rodgers was on his way out. And granted, Rodgers ended up winning 2 more MVPs after that, but Aaron Rodgers is not, or Jared Goff is not Aaron Rodgers. So I think preparing for a post-Goff world by jumping up while your team is perfectly stable and has a good foundation underneath it by going and drafting a boom or bust potential guy like Jackson Dart, who has a very similar play style to Jared Goff. So it's not even like a lot of adjustments would need to be made in terms of the system. I think the Giants saw the potential for that moment, or maybe they caught wind of something. I feel like you're right. I feel like if none of these teams were going to be drafting, they may as well have just waited until the second round. It's the fact that they did draft up that makes me think that the Lions might have been interested in taking Dart.
I think it's definitely a possibility, but also I just really question whether Dart's abilities will translate to the NFL. He's from Ole Miss, which historically does not run a pro-style offense. And they're going to have to sit him for a year. And I have no doubt that they won't start him this year. They might start him, actually. It depends on how well the Giants are doing. I'm sure fans will want to see Dart eventually. But I just don't think his skills will translate as well as the Giants are expecting him to. Not enough to save a franchise that has been historically bad at drafting over the past 10 years.
Well, that's the thing. I think the inclusion of the Abdul Carter pick, I think that a lot of the Giants' free agency signings for their defense throughout this offseason, I don't think they're expecting Jackson Dart to come in and save the franchise that a lot of teams kind of have that expectation of the quarterbacks that they draft. I think the Giants are actually trying to build a team the right way right now, where they build a solid foundation and they build a solid core of players, which they have right now. They have Malik Neighbors for their offense, and then on defense they have a whole host of guys. I would say Bobby Okereke, I would say Dexter Lawrence, I would say now Abdul Carter. I would say that there's plenty of guys on that Giants core that are, foundational pieces that are going to be on the Giants for a while. And now that they have taken a swing in the late first round with a guy, it's not like they wasted that third overall pick.
No,
it's not like they skipped out on Abdul Carter. So I think the fact that they got Carter and they're potentially getting their quarterback of the future, I think this was a really good draft for New York. I think it's probably one of the best drafts we've seen out of them in a minute.
I just think they reached so high on Dart. Genuinely. I think they reached so high. I think both Shador and Jalen Milroe would have been better choices here because they have the physical tools, and so does Dart.
You're just wrong on that. You'd think Jalen Milroe would be a better prospect.
I do. At least he plays in a pro-style offense.
We can argue, he plays in a pro-style offense. He plays by running around and hucking the ball as far as he can. He doesn't exactly. He's got the game processing skills of a toaster. Sure, he's got the physicals, but
you're talking about game processing. It's not like playing an Ole Miss style offense is going to help game processing at all.
Yeah, but it's not like they're tossing him out there on his first game. They're sitting him for a year. This is the kind of guy that you draft and you sit for a year so that he can sit behind one of the most prolific quarterbacks of the modern era in Russell Wilson and one of the funniest quarterbacks of the modern era in Jameis Winston.
I will say Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, being able to learn from those guys will do a lot for his game, and I hope it does do a lot for his game. But I just see the same thing what happened with Daniel Jones happening here. They reached on a quarterback. In this case, they traded up for him, reached on him, and I don't think it's going to work out exactly how the Giants want it to.
Okay, so let me draw a comparison to another player that was coached by Brian Daboll.
Josh Allen.
Do you think that if Brian Dable could develop Josh Allen into a star, do you think that he can develop Jackson Dart into a starting caliber, a consistent starting caliber quarterback?
I think that, yeah, but the thing is, I think that's the best case scenario for Dart, that he just becomes a starting caliber quarterback.
Well, it's not about becoming, it's about the fact that Dable and Wilson are going to make him into that starting caliber quarterback.
I just think that Joe Schoen and Brian Dable both knew their jobs were on the line. They needed a quarterback here, and they reached on a guy, traded up for him, and they're going to see how it works out. You know?
And I think both of those things can be true while also saying that Jackson Dart was the best available quarterback at the time.
I don't think he was. I think Shedeur was definitely a better prospect.
I think maybe in terms of like his physicals, like yes, maybe Shedeur is a better athlete than Jackson Dart, but I think Shedeur had a lot of, and we're pivoting right into talking about Shedeur now because I had planned to talk about him. I think Shedeur has a lot of attitude problems, and based on the way that he was described by NFL GMs, I am not surprised that he fell into the second round. This kid sounds miserable. It sounds like every GM has nothing good to say about him as a person. It sounds like they're frustrated with him. It sounds like they're annoyed with him. I wouldn't even be surprised if this entire first round, the teams that were drafting quarterbacks decided that they were going to let themselves humble Shedeur Sanders by not giving him the glory of being a first round pick in the NFL draft.
I thought it was very funny when the Giants traded up and they panned over to Deion Sanders' face, and this guy just was stone faced.
Yeah,
I know Jackson Dart got that call and not Shedeur. That's the exact thing. And the viewers at home will know where Shedeur lands because he's going to be drafted in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be outdated. But
comment on this episode. You tell us where Shedeur got drafted.
Yeah.
My guess is going to be Cleveland right at the top of the third round.
Yeah,
the second
Cleveland.
round.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I was Cleveland and I knew I wanted Shedeur, I would just take Hunter. And
yeah, that's the thing.
I would just trade it up to get Shedeur.
That's the thing,
You know?
yeah. Do you think there's any potential that we see Cleveland taking a different quarterback prospect other than Shedeur at the top?
They
of the
could take Milroe. I don't think it would be shocking for them to take Milroe, but at the same time, I also don't think it would be shocking for them to sign actually no, they have Flacco, so they're gonna take a quarterback and try to develop him. I think.
Yeah, I mean the Browns actually on paper. They have the best quarterback room in the league. They have multiple-time Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco. They have single-time Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett. And they got DTR. They got the young presence. They don't even need to draft a quarterback right now.
True.
No, of course, I'm joking. But, yeah, overall, this is going to be a very telling draft for the Giants. And I am very optimistic in the way that this move is going to turn out for them. Do you have any last comments before we go to break, Matt?
No, I do not.
All right, so once we get back, we are going to be covering our biggest winners and biggest losers other than the Giants and the Browns and the Jaguars, because we've been spending a lot of time talking about those guys. We're going to be talking about some other teams. So make sure you stick around for that right here, only on Jake's Hot Takes, only on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We will be right back after this.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to WaynesWayCabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutoSpa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutoSpa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to RomaDeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Ah, self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, scrubbing, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're at 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing the stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Welcome back, NFL Draft fans. It's Jake McVey on the radio or on the internet or wherever you're listening to this right now. I got Matt with me, and we're talking about some of the biggest winners and losers from previous night's NFL Draft. Matt, tell me one of your biggest winners. Let's go one by one.
One of my biggest winners, I am actually going to say the Chicago Bears.
Really?
Biggest winners.
Interesting,
I
because
love the Colston Loveland pick. This guy is huge.
He is huge.
This guy is genuinely huge, and I can't even imagine what Ben Johnson is going to scheme up for this guy.
Yeah,
genuinely.
but look, the Colston Loveland pick, I like it on paper. Tyler Warren getting drafted 4 picks after that? Really?
I think you got to look at Colston Loveland as more of a receiver than he is a tight end.
I don't
look at this guy's profile. His route running is great. I think it's going to be a great fit, especially in the Ben Johnson system.
Yeah, but were the Bears really in need of a tight end? I mean, they have Cole Kmet, who is pretty good on both the blocking and the receiving side of the tight end game. I think really, not only did they not go for the best tight end on the board, they went for a position that they didn't even really need. I had the Bears marked down as one of my biggest losers of this draft.
Really?
Because their one pick that they got in the first round, they ended up using on a guy that they already have like a top 7 guy at. Like, yeah, sure, depth is always good, and I'm sure Caleb Williams is going to appreciate the new target. But Tyler Warren was right there. He fell all the way to the Colts.
I don't know. His greatest pro comp is Sam Laporta, and I can just imagine Ben Johnson foaming out the mouth, waiting to drop some plays for this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's going to be a fantasy demon. Genuinely, I just really like the pick. I think it's a great fit, and I think Ben Johnson is really what gets me excited about it.
Yeah, I guess I can see where you're coming from. I looked at this pick very black and white, where I just saw that they didn't even take the number 1 projected tight end, and they took it. I wasn't expecting the Bears to take a tight end. I was expecting them to take someone defensively, either Mikael Williams or Kenneth Grant. But I mean, they did their thing. It was a surprising pick for me personally, but I guess when you say it like that, with his pro comp being Sam Laporta, if he plays anything like Sam Laporta, Ben Johnson is going to be foaming at the mouth, and they're going to get some things done. I don't know. You've shifted my opinion on this a little bit, but I'm still not 100% sold on the Colston Loveland pick.
I think my biggest loser, though, I think it's the Chargers. The Omari and Hampton selection does not move me. And I know people said the same thing about Jahmyr Gibbs all these years ago. But I just don't... Running back in general is a luxury pick, and I know people will criticize the Raiders for taking Gentry, but he is a great prospect.
Yeah.
Omari and Hampton is still a good prospect, but I don't think the Chargers really have that luxury of taking a running back in the first round, especially when they have many other needs on their offense, like receiver.
Yeah.
They could have easily took Matthew Golden, who was selected the pick after.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a great opportunity. I also think maybe they could benefit from taking a DT to help with the run game, especially considering they just gave Najee Harris a contract.
And they just lost Joey Bosa, so their defensive line is even weaker than it was before. Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't go for somebody on the D-line. I think you're right. I think Amarian Hampton is a very talented player, and I'm sure he's going to do good behind that tandem of Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. But at the same time, it is like, don't you have anything more pressing than drafting a running back? And when it comes to the Raiders, I think Genty is a good enough prospect where even though the Raiders have a lot of needs on their roster right now, you just got to be smart and take Genty. Genty's sitting right there. You're at 6th overall. Just take Genty. What's wrong with you? You know, I think that was actually, I think pound for pound, this is going to be one of the best picks that the Raiders have across the last couple of years and throughout the next couple of years. And I'm saying that even remembering that Brock Bowers exists.
Yeah.
One of my biggest winners from the night was the Ravens. They come away with Malachi Starks.
Agree.
I think that they now have one of the most imposing defensive back cores in the entire NFL. They got Marlon Humphreys, they got Kyle Hamilton, and now they're adding Malachi Starks to that. This Ravens defense, especially this Ravens pass defense, is imposing. They are dangerous, they hit hard, and they are ball hawks.
It's just a classic Ravens pick. Wait for a really good safety or defensive back to fall to you and just pick them.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a great pick. And the Ravens have just been so good at drafting over the past couple years. It's kind of mind blowing, especially considering the positions they've been drafting from.
Yeah.
You know, it's very good. Now I have a question for you. What do you think of the Chiefs drafting Josh Simmons?
Here's what I'll say. Kansas City is in a position right now where they are very stable as far as a lot of position groups go.
Yeah.
Because even the offensive line, which was in pretty rough shape, we made some free agency signings this season, like Jalen Moore, and we're keeping some guys like Trey Smith around, and Jawan Taylor still has another year on his contract. And Jawan Taylor isn't good, but he definitely is serviceable. So I'm okay with, we were drafting from the last pick in the first round because we traded down with Philadelphia. I'm perfectly fine with us using a late first rounder on a boom or bust guy.
Yeah.
And letting him sit for a year, and Mahomes is still going to be here the year after this one, and the offensive line is still probably going to need help the year after this one. So, the upside with this kid is just so high, and I was watching some of his highlights, and I was completely in love with him. So I'm just hopeful that he makes a healthy recovery.
Yeah,
I would love to see him.
Injury.
Yeah.
Not very good.
I would love to see him.
Is DJ Humphreys, pretty interestingly enough.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, I don't want him anymore.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Will Johnson falling out of the first round? I remember.
I was very surprised. Because I remember seeing him mocked to the Dolphins, and I thought they were going to select him. But the thing about him is that he has some pretty bad lower body injuries that he has sustained in his career so far. So I understand people not wanting to take him, but I would expect him to be off the board very early in the second round. And people watching will know whether or not that's true or not. Please comment below.
Please comment.
My take is that
comment and tell us if we're right or not.
Yeah.
I was expecting Buffalo to go and draft him, and then they ended up drafting another defensive back in Maxwell Hairston. And then when the Eagles traded up, I thought to myself, okay, they're going to go for Will Johnson, and the Eagles are going to do it again, where they just get a random, amazing draft pick fall right into their lap. And they got Jahad Campbell, who I don't think is the raw prospect that Will Johnson was, but, Philly can turn anyone into a superstar.
Yeah, I really do think so. I think any defensive pick they make will be a good one. And let me tell you, Jahad Campbell, this guy passes the name test. I think that the name test is pretty important, genuinely.
Yeah.
I think the name has to have some aura to it. And Jahad Campbell, he sounds like a stud.
You want to go through some of our best? You want to go through some of our best names of the first round? I think. I think Colston Loveland is a great name pick.
That is the tight end name.
Yeah, that's a tight end.
Colston Loveland. That guy better play tight end. I think Emeka Egbuka.
Absolutely.
Great receiver name.
I think Gray Zabel also passes the name check. That guy sounds like an alien. I am Gray Zabel.
Even though I kind of question the fit for Emeka Egbuka in the Buccaneers.
Yeah, little
Especially
questionable.
because they have three receivers that are pretty good. They have McMillan, they have Mike Evans, who's probably going to go for 1,000 yards for the next 10 years, and they just paid Chris Godwin. So
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused as to what their vision is here. Maybe they're looking to life after Mike Evans. Maybe he's going to retire sooner than we think he is.
That's kind of how I see it. I see it as an opportunity to get a young guy to learn under. Not to mention, Egbuka was just the best player on the board when he was selected, plain and simple. I mean, Egbuka's my pick for the best wide receiver to come out of this draft. I think Ohio State just gets it done when it comes to receivers, and I don't think this kid's going to be any different. But any closing remarks, Matt? Because we do need to wrap it up for today.
I like the Ashton Judge pick.
Yeah, of course.
I think the Raiders have actually done a pretty good job the last two off seasons.
Yeah, I'll give them their credit. They definitely did pick the most obvious player they possibly could have, and it turned out to be the right pick. So congrats to the Raiders front office for not making a catastrophic mistake 2 years in a row. But anyway, that is going to do it for today's episode of Jake's Hot Takes. As always, thank you for listening, and tune in next Thursday for our next episode. Same place, same time, different day. I am Jake McVey, joined by Matt Galgano, and thank you for listening to Jake's Hot Takes, only on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. Thanks for listening, folks.